My name's Jason Chu. I'm a rapper, poet, and Christian. This is 5 conversations between me and my friends, between artists, between believers, between Asian Americans. It's about what we make, where we come from, and how we live. This is Beyond Belief.
I think often about this art that my mom danced to survive as an immigrant in the United States after she immigrated here in 1979. She was dancing through her story and creating her own hyphenated culture in her New World survival. When I think of how I define art, it is this magic I think of, not the Western art that grade school taught me to believe. When she left, it was her life's existence that was my catalyst.
What was the earliest form of arts and creativity?
My mom taught me how to cross stitch because she would always, be doing craft work at home. So I saw her doing it and then I really wanted to do it too. And then I've always been writing. So writing from a really young age. I was writing poems, I was writing essays, I was writing stories. So that was my main form of putting myself out on paper. I'm Taz Ahmed. I am an activist, politico, and podcaster and artist based here in Los Angeles.
I feel like creative is really the best title for you because it's all about finding the best way to say what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I was talking to some artists and they were like, oh, you need to figure out what your one form of art is. And for me, it was more about being an activist and using art as a tool to push out the message.
I love that. I feel very similarly. Like some of my background, I went to Yale and I got my degree in philosophy and I was working in nonprofit.
Yeah.
And what got me to jump over to music and hip hop full time was realizing man, this is actually one of the best ways to make an impact. If it wasn't for the impact, I'd be in nonprofit or I'd be in academics.
Yeah, I think I started as a blogger. So I would work in a nonprofit and then I would blog on the side. And writing was just so much about doing narrative for your community and recentering the narrative on your community. And then I was, doing the politics on the other side and it was too hard to keep it apart. They just kept bleeding into each other. And so now I get to do both.
I feel like that's very characteristic of millennials.
Yeah.
Before people compartmentalized a lot. This is what I do for work, and this is what I do spiritually. It all blends together. It's all one for us.
It has to blend together because you can't move people on politics unless you know what's moving their heart and their mind and their faith. You gotta have all 3 of those to make change happen. Okay, so are we doing this? We're gonna get real...
Yeah, we gotta do this.
Yeah, absolutely, Kabu.
Cool, so what is all these things right here?
So this is comfort food right here, biryani. Biryani is rice with meat. When my mother passed away, all these people would come with biryani.
This is like a Bangladeshi
this is casserole. Yeah. This is white people have a casserole, this is that. So dig in. And then this is also another comfort food. So when you rip it open, there's dal inside it, lentils.
There's a dish like this in China. It's like a crepe with an egg and then I
think I've seen it.
Yeah, jianbing is what it's called.
This place feels like home a lot.
Yeah. What was it like growing up Muslim?
I went to a lot of schools growing up. So no matter what school I went to, I was one of a handful of brown kids, if not just the only Muslim in school. And that changed when I moved to Saudi Arabia. But at the same time, while I was in Saudi Arabia, I was becoming a woman too, and it's a very oppressive country for women. Then we came back to the US, back to the house I was raised in, and it was just a very jarring experience to be back here and to be immersed in American culture again. I think in college was when I started realizing there was other kinds of Muslims out there and that other people were actually questioning their practice and they were understanding religion in a different way. Then that made me feel like I could open up and really question and have this different understanding. And then I think that's kind of been what my process has been, just trying to figure out what it means to have an Islam that was outside of my parents' version of Islam.
I'm really interested in religion because I think religion is this very powerful public thing. I don't call myself ever a Christian artist, but what I believe inside is going to come out. As somebody who is very much publicly Muslim and also very much publicly an artistic voice, how much does your religion impact what you're creating?
Well, I think for me, a lot of it has been trying to figure out how do we tell the counter narrative for our community. To be able to give voice in a way where I really wanted it when I was younger. I think one of the things that I'm most known for is my Radical Love column, where I was writing a lot about being at the intersection of social justice and being single and love and grief and just everything that I was dealing with for the 2 years that I wrote that column. I think that in itself is a political process because people don't hear from Muslim women when it comes to anything, really. On the other hand, I'm also creating a lot of projects that are about disrupting and disorienting. And one of the hardest parts about being so outspoken, I guess, is the pushback you get. Growing up, I was always looked at, but from the Muslim community, as the bad Muslim because I would go to punk shows. You know, I never drank and I never did drugs, and I think that's kind of makes me a good Muslim in some ways. But I mean, that's why we started our podcast. Our podcast, Good Muslim, Bad Muslim, is really about pushing back on what people's ideas are about what it means to be good and what it means to be bad. And we're just, like, growing up, I wasn't raised with social justice values. I was raised for capitalistic values, right? Like, it was like, be a good immigrant, make money, be a good Muslim, you know, pray 5 times a day. And like, I just wanted to do better in this world. I'm just trying to like challenge how I think about how I was raised in Islam and like the kind of God that I want God to be for me. We're just ourselves, we're on a journey, and I think people need that space to be on that journey.
And that's the thing, right? Like, in the end, everyone is looking for the same things from God. The dogma or the theology of God may change, but what we go to God for is always the same thing.
Yeah.
It's nurturing, it's love, it's justice, it's inspiration.
Meaning.
Yeah.
My journey as an activist artist has taken me on a path of telling the counter-narrative of the South Asian and Muslim community. I wasn't seeing the stories in the public sphere that I needed to see to make me feel whole, so I created them. My mother's art helped her reimagine her survival story. I hope that how I art can help reimagine, recenter, and decolonize my survival story, and my community's survival story too, so that our survival may simply be just living.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.